Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
I'm Tim Fitzgerald at GoPowerCat.com.
And I'm Michael Swain of Fog.net.
This is a replay of WIBW show The Drive.
Here's this week's episode on the 24/7 Sports Podcast Network.
Good evening, Wildcat and Jayhawk fans, and welcome to The Drive, sponsored by Briggs Auto Group. I am Tim Fitzgerald at GoPowerCat.com, and the man across the studio for me is Michael Swain of Fog.net. Michael, are you stuck? Are you frozen to your chair?
Not quite. I'm actually thawing out after sitting in my car, letting it warm up. And Fitz, I am not a fan of these negative temperatures for folks who went to the Chiefs game.
Nope.
I don't know how you did it.
Nope, not me. I'm used to press boxes. I'm soft and proud of it.
Yes.
You can interact with us on social media at facebook.com/The Drive Show, on Twitter at The Drive 13, and of course answer our weekly poll questions and make your game predictions on our Twitter page. And remember, if you ever miss an episode of The Drive, you can listen to an audio-only version that appears each Monday morning in the form of a podcast at GoPowerCat.com and Fog.net. And we start things off with our 2-minute drill. The first segment of the 2-minute drill, sponsored by Vanderbilt's Your Work Boot Center. Kansas got a comfortable win over Oklahoma on Saturday and made some history in the process. Michael, how needed was this bounce-back performance for the Jayhawks?
I think really needed, Fitz. You look at the first week of Big 12 play for KU, there are some big-time issues if you're talking about a team wanting to compete for the title over the course of the 18-game conference season, right? Turnovers were a huge issue. KU turned the ball over 36 times over the first 2 games of Big 12 play. That's up from about a little bit over 11 turnovers that KU was averaging at the turn of the new year. And as a result of those turnovers against UCF, right, Fitz, KU blew a double-digit point lead. It was a terrible showing. And then against Oklahoma, it looked like a completely different team. All of a sudden, those mental errors that led to turnovers and fast breaks and easy points for the other team, they were non-existent. KU turned the ball over just twice. That's a new program record. And Fitz, you consider the history that Kansas basketball has, it's breaking program records is a huge deal. And that's exactly what KU did. Oklahoma scored just 2 transition opportunities over the course of the game off of those 2 turnovers, and Bill Self took responsibility for one of those turnovers. It came in transition. He told KJ Adams to do one thing. Kevin McCullough threw it to where KJ Adams was. So theoretically, KU's players got 1 turnover and their head coach got 1. It's a great turnaround for KU, and I think so much of this game, the part that was encouraging is the lead management, because that's not something KU's done really well this season. You go back to non-conference play, you can go to Florida on Wednesday night. KU has not managed leads well, and I thought in the second half, the Jayhawks did a great job of keeping Oklahoma from putting together a run. I thought Porter Moser made a great comment after the game saying that the way they track success offensively is how many times can you A, stop the other team 3 times in a row and then turn those into opportunities, because that's how you start to build a run. Well, KU went the entire second half with it going 3 trips down the floor without getting some sort of point return. I think Kevin McCullough deserves a ton of credit for his job getting to the free throw line. He made 10 free throws. Hunter Dickinson, Johnny Furphy. I think those are some of the guys that really allowed KU to hold its lead and make sure it's a comfortable victory and a much needed one.
2 turnovers in the entire game? 2?
Yeah. It's crazy, Fitz.
2. Well, boy, do I have a different story to tell.
Ooh. Do tell, Fitz. Kansas State led the entire second half at Texas Tech until a 3-point play gave the Red Raiders a 60-59 victory. Fitz. How big of an missed opportunity was this for K-State to go 3-0 to start Big 12 play?
Well, K-State started this game really poorly. They were down 22-13, 13 minutes into the game. They had 1 point per minute in the first half. And then they closed the first half with just your, common 20-0 run. So they led 33-22 at halftime, and they led the entire second half. They controlled this game, but to Tech's credit, they kept scrapping and chipping away, and to K-State's non-credit, is that what I want to say? They kept turning the ball over 18 times in total in this game. You're going on the road in the Big 12, playing a good opponent. After all, these two teams were both 2-0 in the conference, and you turned the ball over 18 times, and you should have won. Well, that means you really did miss an opportunity, because it's not like you went down there and played great. You just played pretty soundly, and timely scoring helped this team. But when the game was on the line, Tech kind of wanted it more, and honestly, they got some breaks, including a blatant travel that wasn't called that turned into a three-point play that gave Tech its only lead of the second half. And then when K-State went down the court and didn't get points, well, that lead was the final score, 60-59. It wasn't a real pretty game. It wasn't always fun to watch this game, but K-State scrapped and played hard and stayed in the game. This team started to develop a personality that it isn't the smooth kind of highlight reel team of last year, but they'll grind on you and they'll get after you, and they're starting to figure out who they are as a team. But the turnovers are a problem. The turnovers are probably a function of not having a true point guard on the floor because Tyler Perry's still learning it, and Day-Day Ames rolled his ankle and wasn't able to play in this contest. So K-State let this one slip away. They really did. They just made too many mistakes for it to come down to a referee's decision that, frankly didn't go their way. And as Coach Tang said after the game, he made a grave error in trying to get Tyler Perry maybe to the free throw line to win the game. That would have required the officials make a call. And he now realizes that was not going to happen. That's just the kind of game it was for K-State.
Fitz, can I give this a positive spin?
Okay.
I think we're 3 games into Big 12 play, and K-State is showing, I think at the start of the season, what we thought K-State would look like, but we didn't really see for most of the end of last calendar year. I think that in and of itself is really positive. I think looking ahead, performance over results, the performances, I think, for K-State have been pretty decent to start Big 12 play.
And Tuesday night with Baylor and Bramlage is going to be huge as they get another one of the only 3 unbeaten teams after 2 games in the conference. It's crazy how tough this conference is. Well, after starting 1-0, Houston dropped back-to-back road games at Iowa State and TCU. Are the Cougars still going to be a Big 12 title contender?
I think yes, Fitz, because they are so incredibly talented and they've got a great coach. I think they'll be able to figure it out. But look, you look at what Houston's going to have to contend with now. It is playing quote-unquote Super Bowl matchups every night, where you go back to last year, seasons past, they'd play Memphis and that'd be a really big game, and then they'd go and play a couple cupcakes that they'd win by 20. There's no such thing in the Big 12, Houston went on the road to play Iowa State. It looked like they were going to get blitzed in the first half because Hilton Coliseum did what Hilton Coliseum does, It really does rattle opponents. But then there's the letdown opportunity the next game, where then Houston loses at TCU in another close game. And I just look at these games and I wonder about Houston and maybe the mentality to be able to compete night in and night out over the course of this 18-game grind. That is going to take time. But again, Houston has the talent to be able to figure it out, get there in the end to where they'll be able to win games. But I think the mentality adjustment, Fitz, is something that maybe isn't going to get a lot of run, I think, nationally when teams look at what Houston is doing, because the Big 12 is tough. And the thing about it is, it's been this league for a few years now. And teams like Iowa State, K-State, Texas Tech, they may not have the most talent every year, but they have that mental resiliency every night to be able to compete. And I think that is what Houston is going to have to learn this season, because I think clearly it's not been there to start Big 12 play.
Yeah, it's got to be an awakening for the Houston program now to be in a more competitive conference. The winner of this conference is going to do a few things. It's going to protect its home court. It's not going to lose at home, and it's going to steal as many road games as possible. Because as we saw with KU losing at UCF, winning any road game is significant in this conference. And that's what K-State just missed the opportunity to do. To go 3-0 with 2 road wins would have been absolutely enormous. But You just got to find them where you can get them, and boy, you're not going to walk into any arena in this conference and walk out thinking, boy, that was easy. You're going to be in fisticuffs every night.
Well, Fitz, as we've learned with my picks, right, you don't want to pick road favorites. You want to hit the home underdogs. Maybe I'll learn this week.
Yes, the picks are, yeah, I'm so sorry this happened to you. Now, a quick look at your poll question results. The poll questions are brought to you by Midland Exteriors. Love the home you live in. Call today for a free estimate.
All right, Fitz, last week's question was, which of these Big 12 men's teams will finish the highest in the conference? Coming in first was Oklahoma with 43% of the vote, then Cincinnati with 27%, then BYU with 21%, and then Oklahoma State rounding it out with 9%.
I'm sorry I included you, Oklahoma State. I regret it. I regret it a lot. This week's question is, who will finish in last place in the Big 12? And there's your choices: Oklahoma State, Cincinnati, West Virginia, UCF. Vote on our Twitter page at The Drive 13.
All right, that will do it for this half of the 2-minute drill, but we'll be right back with more on KU and K-State here on The Drive.
The NFL regular season is wrapping up, but there's still time to get in on the action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. The app is so easy to use, and there are so many different ways to bet, like live same-game parlays. Find bets in the new Explore tab. Make a parlay in the Parlay Hub, the best way to find popular parlays, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/247 and make your first bet a layup. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
Must be 21 plus and present in Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, permitted parishes only, Massachusetts, Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, or Wyoming. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG in Colorado, Iowa, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Virginia. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT-STEP to 53342 in Arizona, 1-888-789-7777, or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, 1-800-9-WITH-IT in Indiana, 1-800-522-4700, or visit ksgamblinghelp.com in Kansas, 1-877-770-STOP in Louisiana. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit 1-800-GAMBLER.net in West Virginia, or call 1-800-522-4700 in Wyoming. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York, or visit oasas.ny.gov/gambling. Standard text messaging rates apply. Sports betting is void in Georgia, Hawaii, Utah, and other states where prohibited.
Welcome back to The Drive, fueled by BriggsAuto.com.
Welcome back as we continue our weekly 2-minute drill. This segment of the 2-minute drill is sponsored by Copeland Insurance Agency, part of your community for more than 60 years. Now, Lance Leipold announced on Sunday that he will be returning to KU in 2024. It was also reported that he turned down Washington's job offer. How big is this moment for KU football?
Fitz, I'll put it like this. The reigning national champion runner-up wanted Lance Leipold and Chris Klieman, maybe, to fill its head coaching vacancy. And KU's head coach said, I'm good, I'm going to stay in Lawrence. And obviously K-State's head coach said the same thing. Now, right, in terms of a publicity, it is huge for Kansas, because you look at the Washington message boards, right, with 24/7 Sports, and it's a lot of fans saying, oh, well, the Kansas head coach turned us down. Well, I think the Kansas program, as we've discussed, is in a very different spot right now than it was in 3, 4, 5 years ago. So what does this mean for KU? Well, I think so much of the infrastructure that has been built around this program, built around Leipold, to put it frankly, gets to continue rolling on. this would have been the worst possible time for a head coach to leave.
Yep.
KU literally does not have a stadium, right? The West Side and the North Bowl are in rubble. And the infrastructure, right, NIL, the culture, that would have been ripped to pieces. And so for KU, being able to continue to build on that is super crucial, because you look at what Kansas returns, right? Jalen Daniels has announced he's coming back. KU's going to return its top 3 wide receivers. Devin Neal is coming back. KU's going to have some returning pieces along the offensive line. Its secondary is going to be really good. This is a team that, if they can improve, I think, the front 7 defensively through spring practice or through the course of the transfer portal, maybe in the spring, this is a team that can compete for a Big 12 title. And that in and of itself is such a huge step for a program that hasn't sniffed anything like that in over 15 years. So for KU to be able to, have Lance Leipold return, it's huge. If you want to get in the semantics of was he offered the job, was he not, you can do different reporting and read different people's reporting about what was said. Right, Football Scoop is saying that Lance Leipold was offered the job. Pete Thamel, I think, is falling in line with what happens at every single coaching search, Fitz, which is only one person is ever offered the job, and it's the guy that takes it. So I'm not too sure about that one. But for KU, this is a massive day, and looking ahead, I think there's even more reason to be excited because KU's head coach is committed, and I think the Kansas athletic department is equally committed to making sure this football program continues that upward trajectory.
I'm telling you what, brother, as I was trying to fall asleep Saturday night, I'm following the story because, of course, Washington's 2 hours behind, so they're still kind of in their news cycle.
Yeah.
And as I went to bed last night, I thought KU was about to lose Lance Leipold. And I was like, no. I mean, it reminded me of Bill Snyder early in his run, had an opportunity with UCLA and was going to take it and then said, no, I'm here. It's the people, I'm staying right here. And I think this is significant. They're going to keep running at Lance Leipold until it's pretty clear that it's going to be no.
Exactly. And so it's a huge thing for KU. And let's get into this now, Fitz. Washington also made a run at Chris Klieman, who declined even interviewing for the job. Fitz, I know you've done really good reporting on that. This will be this staff's 6th year in Manhattan. Are they setting up for the long haul, you think?
Yeah, I think I'm beginning to think, unless Iowa pops open and it's the right opportunity, the right time, Chris Klieman is going to end his career at K-State. And I also believe that career isn't going to be as long as what people expect from head coaches nowadays. And I think this is going to be something we see. It's clear to me, Nick Saban, who we'll get into in a second, stepped away because the NIL, the transfer portal, everything going on in college sports has changed what a college head coach does. And Chris Klieman feels that too. And it's not a great thing to be the head coach who has to do all the recruiting while managing basically salaries and a locker room full of guys that are getting paid, some of them getting paid more than coaches. So it's just the college game has changed a lot. I was interested that Chris Klieman did initially listen. He was no dummy here. He was going to see what was out there, but he's just at home at K-State. He's got family around in Iowa. And he feels like they've got something going. He just promoted one of his good friends to offensive coordinator in Connor Riley, brought in another good friend in Matt Wells to be associate head coach and help Connor Riley run that offense and to coach Avery Johnson at quarterback. It does feel like they're setting roots down. And I think Avery is the timetable. Avery Johnson, if he's everything we think he might be or even close to that, I think his 3 years or so that are left on the clock for him will be kind of a telling moment for K-State football. Can they reload with someone after that? Because I think all of us who have been around Avery, have seen him operate on and off the field, know that he's pretty special. And I also think coaches don't want to just leave that behind. And I had a reporter say, well, he could take Avery Johnson with him to Washington if he went. And I'm like, I don't see Chris Klieman like Colin Klein didn't do that, even try to do that with A&M. That's just not the people they are. That's why they're at K-State. That's why they fit so well at K-State. And I just think he's in for the haul, and I think that's very good news because it appears Lance Leipold is too. Folks, football is going to get really fun for a while. It's going to be amazing in this state.
I love it, Fitz. I'm pumped. I said it last week, right? I don't want to fast forward through life and things like that, but fall 2024, I can't wait.
I know, I agree. Now we step out of bounds, and Out of Bounds is brought to you by Dara's Corner Market. We love local, and we are local for you.
All right, Fitz, this is a really interesting subject. Obviously, Nick Saban has retired, and Washington's Kellen DeBoer has replaced him. But Fitz, is there about to be a changing of the guard in the college football head coaching rankings across the country?
Yep, there are. I don't think Nick Saban's going to be the last. He was in his 70s. I think a lot of guys in their 60s are going to say, this is not worth it. I am under a constant grind. You get done with the season. You got to defend your players from going into the portal. And you got to start looking at players that have gone into the portal from other programs while you're still trying to recruit because you got signing day coming up. Oh, no, by the way, you got a bowl game coming up. So you got to manage your roster, make sure you got enough guys on the roster to play the bowl game and start bowl practices. You might want to scout that bowl team you're playing, all in the matter of, at the same time, a week. It's just absolutely incredible. And the problem here isn't the existence of the transfer portal in the NIL. It's how it's being managed and how it's being timed to go along with recruiting and all that. They're going to have to figure out the calendar a little bit better. But I'm telling you what, if you're going to manage salaries, which is essentially what the NIL is doing, and you're going to be a player personnel director that's constantly looking for the free agents, which is what the transfer portal is, you might as well go to the NFL and not recruit. And I just think this is going to have a devastating negative effect on college coaching. And I think a lot of young coaches are going to end up being head coaches because this will be what they understand. This is their version of college football. And the change in the guard could be dramatic over the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah, Fitz, you mentioned it. I think there are a lot of, not even head coaches, I think assistant coaches, I think coordinators, position guys that are going to look to make the jump to the NFL because this schedule for them in particular, they aren't making millions and millions of dollars. They're still making, I think, great salaries in terms of broader America, but the money is just not what it is for the head coach. And these guys are having to work just as hard, do just as many miles flying commercially, I might add, not on the team planes. So I think it's crazy. I think generally, though, this is not going to be sustainable for the current crop of head coaches.
Well, now let's hear from our fans. Our fan question is sponsored by Meadowlark. Retirement awaits in Manhattan, where you can live your way every day. Our fan question this week is:
did the two Kansas football coaches just turn down the national title runner-up? This is from Brett in Topeka.
They sure did. And so did it. Sounds like Matt Campbell fended them off, and finally Jed Fish at Arizona was the one that took the job. And all 4 of those candidates were new Big 12 coaches. They'll be in the 16-school alignment. It's going to happen every year, folks. This will be the proving ground for coaches.
That it will be. Well, remember to ask us your questions on our Facebook page and on Twitter at The Drive 13. When we return, we will look at our predictions here on The Drive.
Picture this nightmare scenario. You're hosting friends for the big game. It's neck and neck in the fourth quarter, and suddenly you realize you're out of drinks. You start to sweat. Your friends start to turn on you. You're forced to go on a last-second drink run and end up missing the game-winning touchdown while in line. Terrifying, isn't it? Luckily, you can avoid the drama with Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. With Drizzly, you can shop a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits, then get them delivered right to your watch party. Compare prices across multiple stores in your area, find the best deals on game day drinks, and get back to armchair quarterbacking from, you guessed it, your armchair. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
Welcome back to The Drive, fueled by BriggsAuto.com.
It is time to head down the home stretch of this week's show, and now let's take a look at our predictions. Predictions are brought to you by Kites, meeting your friends at Kites since 1954. Remember to make your weekly predictions on our Twitter page at The Drive 13. Here are last week's results. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing bad. I'm down bad, Fitz. I'm terrible at this.
The fans and me went 2-1, and Michael...
I'm awful. I went 0-3, Fitz. This is terrible.
Yeah, look, you'll get through this. We got some games you can cherry pick this week. And here's this week's. We start with Kansas at West Virginia. Kansas at a 5.5-point favorite. Does KU win by 6 or more?
Yes, I hope.
I'm going to take them too. But after the UCF game, you're like, Who knows? Who knows on the road in this conference?
So true. Next is Oklahoma State at K-State. K-State's a 5.5-point favorite. I'm also really hoping K-State wins by 6 or more because I have them too.
Yes, I will take them too. So we match on those. K-State has Baylor and Oklahoma State both at home in Bramlage this week. So a big week for the Cats. And we wrap it up with Baylor on Saturday after they play at Manhattan. Then they get to go to Texas, and we've got UT as a 1.5-point favorite. You say?
I have Texas on fraud watch, so I'll be taking Baylor.
Baylor, okay, very nice. I've got Texas in this one. Again, make your picks on our Twitter page at The Drive 13. And now it's time for our On the Clock segment. On the Clock is sponsored by Carpet One, buy local for a strong local community. And here's Michael Swain of Fog.net.
Let's talk some Johnny Furphy. I thought he looked really good in his second career start, first Big 12 start, and I think he's going to keep this role going forward. It's not often you see Bill Self give the double fist pump above the head, and you saw that in the first half of the game after Furphy competed for a 50-50 ball, something this KU team hasn't done a lot of, but Furphy is doing those intangible things. They're going to get his head coach to love him, and Jayhawk fans too.
Well, that's nice. I wish Bill Self loved me. Hey, I've got 2 topics here I want to touch on. First of all, congratulations to the Kansas State women. Won back-to-back games inside Bramlage Coliseum. They still only have 1 loss in the season, beating number 10 Texas. Let's see if the Cats can get into the top 10 this week in the AP Top 25 because they're very deserving. Also, how about this Baylor coaching tree? We went into the weekend with only 3 schools at 2-0. Scott Drew at Baylor, 2-0. Jerome Tang, his longtime understudy, 2-0, and Grant McCaskill, another Baylor guy at Tech, 2-0. There's something's going on at Baylor. It's in the water. And that's it for this week's edition of The Drive. We'll see you next week right here at All Week on social media.
Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
The choice is lightning in a bottle.
When you are associated with something legendary, you're like, what am I supposed to do now?
Witness the inspiring true story of Black Sheep's Drez.
I wound up with the opportunity to make an album from Dilla's catalog.
One of the illest producers ever.
The Choice is Yours exposes the journey of one legend carrying 2 legacies.
Even if we fall flat on our face, at least we was trying to be ourselves.
Catch the new documentary, The Choice is Yours, now streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus.